Oh no.
So you turned in and just a bit though. You can take it back.
Yeah, I did. Oh yeah, that's true.
This is where time like this spent like this will help you too.
I was like, I got that back. I go to the point.
Left is looking fucking solid, man.
Both of them right now.
Well, I know both, but Jesus, for you don't train your left.
But the thing is, I've arm wrestled every single day.
Yeah.
It's together. Right now, I think it's the strongest ever.
So have you answered the question yet? What's better, arm wrestling?
Arm wrestling.
To get better at arm wrestling, or weight? I don't know. I've always said.
Just arm wrestle every day. Arm wrestle every day. A little bit accessory if you get bored, but if you arm wrestle every day,
That's how you know, like,
very sick.
So what is your weight?
I know, right? It's not as heavy as people say it is.
I know.
But I am big. I am big.
Didn't you tell me 260 last time?
I'm heavy. I'm heavy, but I'm not too heavy. But I'll be probably the biggest I've ever been in competition. I think I will be. I believe I will be. I believe I will be.
Well, not really.
I believe, yeah.
Alright, well, yeah, you look thicker than you ever have, like, muscular anyways. Not fat.
Hey, man. How's it going?
It's going. Meet you here.
Yeah. Yes. Let's warm up a little bit. All right.
Tried.
I'm already warm.
Cup of coffee. It's outside. Yeah, you're supposed to
Just slam me.
Yes.
Guarding everything.
No, no.
Extra tight now.
Pressure to break your column. You gotta be in the right position for it.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah?
Just put your brake, you have your brakes on? Good.
I gotta buy it. I got it here now.
You haven't been on the table in a while, so.
Oh, it's been a while, eh?
I'll just warm you up. Then you can actually, you probably want to.
I'm trying to not even let you in the door.
Yep. At this point, before a big competition,
Yeah,
you shouldn't be
I know.
negative
I
at all.
can't.
Like you haven't pulled since last time you were here, right? Remember everything I was teaching you? It takes a while later. Yes. You're doing this. I want you to do this. Yeah.
This still in there.
Kind of. So you're turning in, though, like if you go like this and actually pull towards you, like that, but pull this way into my fingers. Okay. This is what you want to do. You want to pull out and then add cup and get me way over there. Like drag, yep. Don't push. Keep pulling over that way. Look, I'll show you once. I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to set up like this. Watch. Give me some pressure. I'll show you. See what I'm doing? I'm not actually pushing you down. I'm pulling you this way the whole time. And I've taken everything away from you, right? So I pull you away from yourself. I cup to turn your hand, so now I'm on you. It's my whole body on your bicep, and I'm still locked in a nice position. And to put you down, all I'm doing is bending my body. I'm not actually pushing you down. I'm maintaining this pressure out here, and I'm just kind of falling over. But I'm trying to put you down over here. So that's why I'm teaching you like to pull from here with riser. This is called riser. Yep, and you want to get up on my hand. Yeah, that's great. Yep. You felt your hand slipping a little bit? You want it to slide. As you're doing that, slide up to here, add the cup, and then just keep going that way. Yeah, you get somebody in a position like this, they're going to be fucked. Now, you started bending your knee. Don't. Just with your hip, kind of go over this way. That's how it's going. Not strong enough.
No.
You're plenty strong enough.
No, I think it's
kidding me?
I think it's strong.
Wait. You want to try him? Just so you get the opportunity. An army.
A sweet job, eh?
It's fine. I mean, I want to try to practice something else.
I have to warn you, I'm like probably the strongest you've ever seen me.
Why do you look so small?
Probably the ever you've ever seen me.
How does that feel? It feels the same for everybody. He's got this way of making you feel like a small child. No matter how strong you are.
The first rule. Does anybody know what the first rule of arm wrestling is?
Win.
Be strong. Yeah. That's good too, Cobra. Win is definitely a good rule, but it's the same thing. Be strong. Okay? Be strong. Now, be strong is rule 1, and it's maybe the most complicated rule. It seems pretty simple, but you have to know how to be strong. And earlier today, when I was talking about, how I grew the tree and then I pruned it and I came back to cupping. In my opinion, I got it wrong. Okay? In my opinion now, when I give these seminars, one of the things that I came to in one of my last seminars is whenever people ask me questions, it's become disappointingly simple. Okay? The way to arm wrestle, to me, has become more and more clear. So we'll talk about be strong. Be strong is what the fundamental strengths of arm wrestling are. Like the most important requirements. Like you talk about powerlifting, bench, squat, dead. Arm wrestling, I will say that the first thing as an arm wrestler you need to concern yourself with is rising. Okay, anybody who follows me knows that I talk about this all the time. I talk about rising all the time. Rising is present in every single application of arm wrestling. Whether you're inside, outside, regripping, in the setup, you are always rising. A, B, C, always be climbing. Okay? Now, what is rising? Rising is creating space between you and your opponent. Okay, so when you talk about when you're at the arm wrestling table, any way that you can create space, okay, you want to pull your opponent away from their center. I'm strong. The further away my hand moves from my body, the weaker I become. This, rising all the way up to the top, not only through the finger, but through the thumb. This ability to rise, the ability to come over the top, the ability to put the person at a disadvantage, to make them have to use more muscles than you, to attack their fingers while using your arm. It speaks to efficiency. Rising sets up everything. Now, when you rise, sometimes you can kick back to create more space. Sometimes you can supinate to create even more space, make it harder to reach around your thumb. You can stop using internal rotation, either float or even use external rotation to create even more space and rise up. All these small movements in the rise and in the set are important, but none are more deadly than this knuckle coming straight up. The ability to rise your knuckle in a strap against an opponent who's trying to rise their knuckle in a strap will determine more efficiency and open up more opportunities, in my opinion, than any other strength. It is the tip of the iceberg of our sport. The person who has the most rise, even if they are weaker, will have more opportunity to have their choice of technical option. They will be more efficient over rounds. They will use more muscles against less muscles. Whenever you are training, you need to prioritize your ability to rise every day, depending on how insane you are and how committed you are to this sport, multiple times a day, okay? Rising is your number one chain. If you are rising, and if your opponent is rising, and if you are stronger, they have two choices. They can continue to pull outside, they can continue to run, they will dump their wrist, and they will have some kind of a king's move option. Not a great option, but they have that option. In that case, you can continue to rise and continue to make it worse and worse and worse. Some people will become anxious and try and pin a king's move, which is a technical error. You just simply continue to rise, and the shoulder will open and all options will become worse. So rise against a failed outside option is beautiful. You don't need to change anything. What the person will most likely do if they sense that they have a failed rise is they will then come forward. Most will try to secure a cup, secure some kind of a cup or supination to try and get their shoulders connected, which then means the counter to this is pronation. Anytime a person's cupping, you already have the high spot, boom, you break into your roll, okay? That's strength number 2. That is the second most important strength in my opinion. In my opinion, in this modern day of the sport where straps are so easily accessible, you cannot underestimate the roll. Rising, rolling through the strap, guys, rolling through the strap, through the thumb, okay? And I'll demonstrate all these exercises later, but your ability to, once you steer your opponent so that they have to come forward to try and wrap around your hand, you deny that and you peel them open. You use your thumb and you pronate. Again, in a strap. Always it will be in a strap, guys. It will always be in a strap. The rule system of today's arm wrestling will permit you to get a strap. You need to develop your thumb. You need to develop the ability to move weight in this fashion. These are the base tools of an arm wrestler. This does not speak so much of skill, but just the weaponry that you bring to the table. You need to have a rise that will defeat anyone else's rise, which then will flow into the pronation, will defeat their cup as they try and move forward with their shoulder. These two weapons are your most important things to sharpen. If you have this, everything else becomes easy. Somewhere further down the line is your cup. And I used to train my cup so much. I used to think that the cup was number one. And if anybody wanted to argue with me, oh, I think the cup is the best, or I think pronation is the best, or I think supination is the best, I'd say you're right. Yeah, it can be. It can be. So long as your system works for you, it can be. I am biased. We are all biased, okay? But in my opinion, with the data that I've collected, I would advise everybody, no matter the shape, no matter the size, no matter the structure, no matter your natural gifts, I would tell you, develop your rise, develop your roll. These are the most dangerous weapons we have in the sport, and it's how world championships are typically won nowadays. The reason why the cup is lower down is because the only option they have left once their hand is taken and all they have left are inside options is they're only left with a flop wrist press. And a flop wrist press, while they might get one round on you, once the hand is defeated, there are so many options to counter a flop wrist press that it doesn't have to be as sharp. It does not have to be as sharp. And the truth is, you talk about specialization and you talk about diversity. If you work on 4 tools, they will each be good. If you work on 3, they will be better than the 4th. If you work on 2, they will be better than 3. And all that matters is your initial victory. If your rise is sharper than everyone's, everyone is in a bad position. So that's why I say shift your focus and make it smaller. Specialize and become very, very good at the very small openings that the game has. You sharpen your opening, and every option that the arm wrestler will have, they will be in an unadvantaged position. Rise, roll, cupping. And I don't want to undervalue it because it is a big part of the game. It really is. Your ability to connect to your center through flexion is very important. And depending on your opponent, it may be the most important. If you are arm wrestling Jerry Cataret, who doesn't fight with his hand, I'll tell you, that's going to change. You're going to want your cup and you're going to want your supination to be extremely strong. Right? As Ron knows, you gotta hook that guy. Right? He gives you all that. He gives you it, and we'll get to that in Rule 2. Jerry is using Rule 2 to secure his angles. Rise, roll, cup. There is supination, guys. Never think that supination is not part of the game. You see me arm wrestle a lot open. I arm wrestle open a lot. One of the reasons why I do this, it's my opening. It's my jab. It's my round 1. Okay? I beat somebody's hand, and then I'll start to close it up later, start to work this. But I like to chip away at a person, beat one piece, then beat the other pieces. The icebreaker, the point of entry into a person's defenses is through the rise. Everything will be cut down after that is defeated. Never stop training your rise every day that you love arm wrestling. Rise, roll, cup, supination. Supination. People talk about side pressure in arm wrestling. I blew my elbow countless times, okay? Countless times, okay? Either in matches or in training. Supination is, in my opinion, what you're really training. Okay? Do not take weight from the side and force it to the side. Don't do it. Don't do it. No matter how cool somebody tells you it is or what you see somebody else do, okay? This is coming from me. Okay? So take it or leave it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to supinate. Okay? You're trying to do this. Okay? You're not trying to do this. You're trying to bring the match this way. Supination. Okay? This is a very valuable strength to have, the ability to turn this way. This gets you regrips and it gets you shoulder commitment. Okay? This is because you do not want to go throwing. Much rather, you'd rather get behind your arm so you can press. Okay? This is anatomically safe and sound, and you can do this hard. Okay? You cannot side pressure hard. Not for long, anyways. You can't. Okay, I've had surgeries. Okay, believe me, every year or two, I'm like, oh, maybe I can train side pressure, and then a couple weeks later, I'm like, no, you can't. No, supination, guys, supination. There's also grip. There's also grip. It's almost not worth talking about, but it is. It is. You know, grip is not with a gripper. Grip is with a small handle on a cable. Okay, it's just this ability to close. And it comes into play in all sorts of applications in the strap and in the drag and in the regrip and in the general conditioning of the hand. That's basically it, guys. When it comes to training in the gym for the sport of arm wrestling, this is what you're doing. This is it. And that is what Rule 1 is. So when somebody tells you, be strong, okay, in arm wrestling, this is what you're talking about. Okay, if I could ever pick, Devon, you got 10 more pounds. Where do you want it? Put it on my rise, man. Put it on my rise, right? Just make it so that nobody thinks that they can come over top of my hand. Make every single person have to come at me. And then that opens up my pronation. Everybody's flopping me. Oh, it's a great day. It's a great day. Love it. Okay, so that's Rule 1, guys. If there's any questions on it, we can hit it. But we move into Rule 2. Rule 2, just because you are stronger than your opponent doesn't mean you're necessarily going to win. And that's why throughout everything, the most important part of your training is on the table. You have to arm wrestle all the time, all the time. And that's the most fun part anyways, but you're gonna learn how to arm wrestle by spending a lot of time on the table. Rule 2, I always forget what it is.
Don't take what's being given.
Oh, that's, you're ahead of the class.
Never fight a losing battle.
There we go. I'll ask you next time. Yeah. Never fight a losing battle. So basically what that means is if I'm going against a guy and say I'm trying to roll him and it's like, no, that's not going to work because it's going this way, I cannot try and do that. I cannot fight a losing battle. This is a losing battle. He's going to turn me. So I have to do something different. I have to give that up. I have to go with it. Okay? There's basically, there's only a few retreats. Okay? There's only a few retreats. There's stuff you can do with flopping. Okay? So if you want to flop, if the person's going to blow through your hand, okay, you can flopper's press. Okay? If the person's going to blow through your hand, you can king's move. Okay? These are 2 great ways to give away your cup and to stay in the match. Okay? If a person's going to blow through your pronation, okay, if the person's going to turn you, no matter how hard you try, okay, great option, defensive hook. Okay, don't fight losing battle, give it to him, defensive hook. Even better than that, press. Okay, that's cutting it off even earlier. Okay, but believe it or not, that's a defensive option when you're seeing your palm. Press. Okay, that's defense. So you got palm turning over, you got wrist turning over. Basically, any of these retreats, they're a way to stay into the match. They're a way to stay fighting. This internal, external rotation. This is typically the first piece to give away, right? Normally we want to go internal. The first piece, it's almost like a gambit. Anybody who plays chess, you give something away to the side or whatever, they bite on it and you got something. You give away the center and you come around, right? You have hand control, it's more valuable. When you talk about pieces to trade, the first thing I'll give you is elbow position. I'll give this away all day before I give this away. And this is the most valuable, right? There's pieces to trade, pieces to give away to stay in the match. Never fight a losing battle. You have to give, you have to give. If you keep fighting hard while you're being beaten, it's only going to continue. You have to learn the art of giving. You have to give a piece here or there in order to stay in the match. The piece that you want to hold on to is going to dictate your style, right? I'd say hold on to the rise as long as you can. I'd say I'm a big fan of open topping, guys. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of kings moving. I know it's not the most popular thing in the sport right now, but I'll tell you, it's a very, very powerful style. Very, very powerful style. And there's no reason why anybody can't get good at it. Even if you don't have wonky elbows like me, you can still do it. Rule 3. Rule 3 is the most complicated of all. Rule 3, once you start to understand Rule 3, you will become a very, very good arm wrestler. Rule 3, as was said earlier, is don't take what's being given to you. Okay, this is a very interesting rule. So we talked about things in Rule 2. Defensive hook, press, king's move, flop. These are defensive, these are your typical defensive pathways. And it's a very simple formula. Very, very simple. Okay, we talk about be strong. Be strong. I control my rise. I control my cup. I control my roll. I control my supination. Okay, and basically everything comes. If you are Rule 1, be strong, you guys remember Andrei Pushkar? Remember how Andrei Pushkar used to arm wrestle all nice up and tight and boom, everything's going all together, compact. This is fundamental arm wrestling basically at its finest, okay? No like kind of roundabout taking every single piece of the arm wrestling game and blasting. Okay, this is what fundamental, this is what Rule 1 looks like. Rule 2, there's lots of examples of Rule 2. You got guys like me or Michael or Crazy George, King's moving. You got Jerry flopping. You got, pick a guy who's defensive hooking. They're a dime a dozen. Okay, tons of people like this. Okay, basically, and if you know somebody has a strong suit, if you know it's a simple, what are they giving you? Where do they trade? And that's where your rule 3 starts to play. What you do with rule 3 is you do not take what they give you. Rule 2, you give somebody something so that you can get into the match and get a stop. That's what you're doing. You're giving something to get in somewhere else. Okay? But the truth is, in a high-level match, what's going to decide it is, don't move, ready, go, boom! And the one guy's going to break down. There's no movement. No movement. It's static. Okay? Like, real arm wrestling strength is the ability to turn into a statue, right? Turn into a rock and have the other guy break on you, right? Like, if I'm strong enough where I can just bang, not move nothing, and they break their angle somehow, you just won. You just won the match.
He has an easier time with you than I do. All I do is train my forearms. That's it. Okay, all my homework, everything I do is this, a little bit of this, okay? But the truth is, it is a full body event, okay? And one of the reasons why I train like this is because I train my whole body my whole life, okay? I've got some stuff to fall back on. But like, it's a full throw, okay? Like, everything's working. Mat mask, blue is inner abductor when we arm wrestled, okay? So that should give you an idea. I've been storing my calves, okay? It's the whole body working. So we'll just talk about stance very quickly because it's super important. So when you come to the table, there's a lot of different ways you can stand. For the first few years that I arm wrestled, okay? So like when I first got into the sport competitively, I used 2 feet under for a very long time. I think I probably did 2 feet under for probably the first 3 or 4 years of my career. And it's a great stance, okay? So both feet are coming, right? You think about my right foot, okay? It's maybe a little bit more on his fingers. With the left foot, it's maybe a little bit more outside. And with them together, you've got a strong base that's pulling everything up high and back. A perfect way to start a match, right? And you also have your hips, right? You talk about stance, there's your feet, and then there is the table, right? There's the ground, and then there's the table. You become welded into the table, right? So your base is your feet, okay? Your base is also the table. The table is your base, okay? When you have a hard match, hard tournament, you should have bruises. You should have bruises on your hips. If you start to dip low, you should have bruises on your stomach. And if you're like me with Dave Chafee, you should have a jaw fracture after the event, okay? Whatever it takes.
It's a pride between the thumb and the hand, right? Yeah, the thumb's absolutely working. Yeah.
When you're at the table in a match, okay, you want to feel your feet. You want to feel your hips. You want to start to adjust everything all the time, okay? So like I said before, priority is height. Priority is always height. Okay, and that's why this stance works quite well. This is kind of like the starting point for height, okay? Things are going well. You're starting to feel dominant, okay? Start to pull your left leg back, okay? So now you have your height off your hip, off your right leg, and it starts to open up the option with your hip against this leg for some force to the side, okay? All right, so this moves into a split stance. Split stance, same arm that you're arm wrestling with, same leg goes forward, okay? So same leg that you're arm wrestling, same leg goes forward. You have that weld, okay? And this stance turns into your press stance, okay? Foot up, okay? And this is an extremely strong base for all things kind of inside, okay? All right, so this is one flow. You have a different flow, okay? You have your split or your both feet under, okay? And this can flow into an external drive, okay? So this can start to look, give me a little bit of cup, a little bit of, yeah. So this can start to look like this. I'm pivoting off my left hip, okay? Left hip, right leg back. Okay, it's gonna throw it this way, okay? The feet are moving all the time. Both feet under, open up into a split, put your leg up to push, come back out, throw out this way. Okay, other things that are going on underneath the table. Some people, okay, typically guys who are a bit shorter, you can put your foot up on a post and push off it. If a guy is super strong, okay, first, you gotta be super strong, your opponent's super strong, okay? One of the things that's gonna happen is, this will happen, believe me. Guy I like to watch for this stance especially is a Prudnik, okay? Prudnik's monster, super stud arm wrestler. If you get deep into a hook, typically you're in a split stance, okay? A lot of pressure through your hip. If the guy is strong, if he's really strong, there will be a lot of force pulling you up over the table. He will actually start to lift you a little bit. Like if I'm hammering hard and if his wrist is strong enough to hold out, the body will start to lift a little bit, okay? So you have to be able to lift your left leg, okay? So the split stance will turn a little bit like this, and you'll start to lift this leg like this, okay, to ground you. So you'll be making a force like this, okay? This. Okay, so these are some of the stances that you want to play with. Both feet under, split stance, press stance, right? And whatever you want to call it, throw out, king's move stance. Don't forget your anchor of your off leg. Typically, same arm, that same side typically is your driving. And the other leg is just to adjust your altitude. So for example, just stay in a hook with me, okay? Just stay in a hook. So I drive and I'm a little bit sloppy, okay? It's fine to be sloppy, it's fine. And I fall away a little bit because I'm going for that last little pin. I don't quite get it. The left leg's job is to return you, okay? Don't be lazy and stay down here, okay? You're probably gonna eventually get in some trouble, right? Stand back up, okay? So you can drive again. Stand back up, drive again, okay? So all the force is pretty much coming from the right side of your body. The left side is gonna lift you, let you re-hit. Okay, good, thank you. So, straps, a little bit on straps now. Oh no, I'll use you. Okay, so first thing, depending on the league or the contract that you sign, not a lot of people got that joke, did they? Okay, so a lot of times you're gonna be in the straps. Okay, you got to know how to get there. You have to find a way to get in the straps. So arm wrestling's a tricky sport. The rules are hard to enforce. Okay, like height is king. Height is king. You don't always have height, guys. Even if you train for it every day of your life, you're gonna run into somebody stronger. Okay, if you don't have height, if you do not have the high hand and somebody is messing with you, technically, I'm telling you, there's not a single good option in the world for you. If they are a good arm wrestler and you do not own the height component, you get out of there. You get out of there and you do it in the straps, because the straps will make height not as vital. There's a lot of options that you can play in the straps where you do not have to have the high hand. It's really important. But if you don't have it outside of a strap, you are done. You're done. Okay, so I'm not going to talk too long about this, but when I'm arm wrestling, okay, and I'm in a federation or whatever where we're not getting strapped up right away, if it's if it's a federation where all slips go to straps, just focus on your pronation, keep your pronation, keep your height as long as you can. It's gonna fail, just top row me. It's gonna fail, okay, and I just hold my pronation and I slip. Okay, you wanna get more technical, more precise. Okay, I'm probably not gonna get too deep into this, except for maybe at the very, very end of the seminar. Talk about something called a half slip. Okay, a half slip is where, okay, just stay with me. Okay, so don't move, ready, go. And he's got too much up top, and I know it, and I know I'm screwed. So I'm starting to go for the strap. Okay, and here I am. Okay, now I have not carried all the way through. Ideally, if you want a fair strap in a federation that is tight on slips, when you hit hard, you roll through and you go all the way to the pin pad, okay? This is how you're probably gonna get your best chance of straps. But if there's any kind of leniency or whatever, you start to have your hand go. If he holds on to you, you don't continue to slip. You can hang out here. It's called a half slip, okay? If he wants to hold on to that, great, let him. Let him hold on to that. It's a terrible position, super inefficient. You don't have to fully slip. Anyways, half slip. Either way, the best way to slip, in my opinion, is through pronation. Okay, so bang, establish a slip, okay? In the straps, we're gonna get into more strap pulling, like the technical parts of strap pulling now, but basic rule and setup, every single piece of fabric closer to you. Okay, so when the ref is putting it on, ideally, you want the buckle on the other person's hand. Okay, even with the fairer strap, symmetrically, it's totally fair. However, the option to get an advantage, okay, when the buckle is on the other person's hand is there. And I don't care what anybody tells you, it's there, believe me. Okay, and the reason why it's there is when the strap is tightened, it pulls their hand down and your hand up, okay? This is a reality, whether it's the fair strap or the hustle strap. The hustle strap, dude, you will beg for the right side of the strap. But even in a fair strap, it makes a difference. So it's part of your consideration. But when you're arm wrestling in a strap, every single piece of fabric that is on this strap, you want closer to you. Okay, like every single one, and when I mean closer to you, I mean closer to your center, okay? And in terms of value, the higher the strap, the more it's worth, okay? So if we are, like with Auden and I, if we are to move the strap just 1 millimeter towards him, it's a big difference, okay? It's super important. The way that this runs on your body, on your hand, very important, okay? You want this angle to be as low as possible. As low as possible. So when the strap's being applied, you keep your hand up, you kick it back, you supinate, just like we've been talking the whole time, that creative movement, okay? This giving away, this regripping, while the strap is going on, okay? Every piece of fabric towards you. When you are in the process, you still continue to give this grip, this giving away, this climbing grip, so that when it's tightened, your webbing is higher. Harder to do on the side with the buckle. Okay. Now, really, really small, I want to talk about a couple angles. All right, just give me a little bit of pressure on, okay, and just kind of hold me. Okay, so Auden and I, just post, yeah. Okay, so Auden and I are fighting, okay? Things that are going on in the strap, there's more of two vectors. Outside of the strap, the rules are different than inside the strap. I have the ability to drag, so just drag. He feels it without the cup. So the drag opens up without the cup, and the pronation opens up without the height. So you can pronate without height, you can drag without cup. Okay, that's the big addition in the strap. So, how do you set up your pronation? Okay, things are totally even. Things are totally even, we're in the middle, we're fighting. Okay, I want to roll. I want to roll him. Can't do it, he's too strong, we're too close. Okay, One of the most simple things you can do is just move your elbow to the outside. You guys see that? So we're here, we're in the middle, okay? I want to roll him, I'm not strong enough. I move my elbow just slightly outside. The hands didn't change at all. But guess what? By doing that, right, by being here, okay, talk about pronation and locking a muscle, right? In arm wrestling, you lock a muscle and you drive through it. Here I am. Now here I am. Guess what? My pronator just locked by a few more degrees, right? So here, you want to set up a roll, move your elbow outside your body, then set up your roll. Okay, it's the same thing for inside, but...
So where are you getting on every day? Are you doing that much traveling? Where you been? You're running the business that way, so you're writing off your fuel on that?